Hey everybody, for everyone who's checking in, this is my first stream for uh, being black in China because I had to make the topic super right on the nose for y'all. The first thing I'm going to be talking about is basically living in China post COVID. A lot of people try to ask me, like, how is it living in China like after COVID started, and what is exactly happening here. So I'm gonna give you 3 things that really define living here after COVID. So the first thing that I would probably say is, when it comes down to just getting around on a day-to-day and being able to do normal things, first it's the health codes. Now, a lot of people don't know what these health codes are, like because maybe in America you guys don't have them. Actually, I'm pretty sure in America you don't have these health codes, but over here what happens is everybody got a phone, and on their phone, your phone obviously tracks your location. Like, anybody who hasn't known that, even in America, like, yeah, they track your location all the time. So from them tracking your location, they pretty much let you know, all right, if you've been in high risk areas or not. Like, I know back home, they give you some kind of like text message that lets you know if you've been in a high risk area. Everybody I've known who's gotten COVID has gotten that text from a high risk area and been like, all right, yeah, I got the text. That's how I knew I caught this shit, because right after the shit, like, I got it. But here, instead of sending you a text, what they will do, we're in China. I'm living in Sanya, China. So Sanya, that is on Hainan Island, Hainan province, which, if you guys have been keeping track of things like that, Hainan is actually not going to be a part of mainland after 2025. So they're going through this process where Hainan is basically essentially going to become like Hong Kong. So I heard people in Hainan are going to get like different passports and stuff like that, and it's going to become like an economic tourist zone. So that might be cool, might not be cool, we'll see. I don't know, depending on how things are going now, because things right now, they're a little dicey out here, I'm not gonna lie. Like, even me doing this little podcast format where I'm talking about things out here, of course I have my concerns, because it's essentially a police state out here. Like, you say the wrong things could get you locked up. I mean, as a foreigner, like, like, it really, you could get locked up. I heard of, like, my wife has some friends who sometimes they'll be on WeChat, that's the platform everybody uses out here, and they'll be talking like shit sometimes about how things are ran, and then all of a sudden, like, they'll get a knock on the door, like, doop 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 doop, and it'll be the police. And the police won't say nothing. They'll just take you and they'll throw you in jail for like a couple days. And when they let you out, they'll be like, oh, well, watch what you say. They're not even going to tell you what you said that got you locked. They'll just say, watch what you say. So, yeah. Is this a video? Nah, it's not a video. I'm actually talking. Like, this is actually live. But basically, when you're doing things out here, you always gotta watch yourself, and you always gotta like make sure that you're conducting yourself in a way that doesn't really make you a target. Like, for me, I always just keep my head down and do my work, because like, I know at any time, like, if I'm doing the wrong things could get weird. But so yeah, we were talking about COVID. So I was talking about health codes, right? So going back to the health codes, Your health code will change if you end up in a place that had like a COVID case run through there. So if you're in a high risk place or a medium risk place, you probably end up getting a yellow code. And a yellow code means like you can't go nowhere like until you get a COVID test that shows that you don't got COVID. And yeah, when you have a yellow code, the best thing you can do is probably go to a testing site and get tested as soon as possible and just wait for the results to come out so your code can turn green. If you get a red code, you out of luck. Like, if you get a red code, you're going to have to do something where you get quarantined, and the quarantines here aren't nice like at all, so you don't want to be in that situation. Red codes pretty much means like you were in physical contact with that case, or you can get red codes in other ways, like if everybody has to do mandatory testing and you haven't done your mandatory testing in like a week or two, they're gonna turn your code red. I mean, honestly, like I get notifications on my phone every day because we have to do 3-day testing. I get my notifications on my phone every day that says if you don't test, then you could be thrown in jail. Like they call it like lawful persecutions or something like that when you translate it in English, but whatever it is, you don't want no parts in that. Like there's no parts in that. You want. So that's the first thing. Living in China post-COVID, first is the health codes. Second, I would say, is like the vaccines and stuff like that. The vaccination stuff isn't so bad. I mean, if you're a foreigner, of course, like you have to get vaccinated. They're not going to give you no options. I remember at my last job, they were just like, everybody get vaccinated super quick, do it as fast as possible because there's no option. You're not going to be able to work. They're going to stop you from working. So it could end up affecting your income. And yeah, on top of the vaccinations, like you also just have to cooperate with anything that they do. Like sometimes they'll ask to do daily testing. Like right now I'm doing daily testing at my school. My school provides daily testing all the time, like every morning. And even though we have a 3-day policy for the city, they're just like, we want people tested every day. The third thing for me is, of course, the lockdowns. Anyone who's been following me or like just follows me on social media knows we just came out of a really bad lockdown in Sanya. Like, it was like a month and a half. It wasn't as bad as Shanghai, but the conditions, I'm not gonna lie, the conditions were kind of as bad as Shanghai, but we didn't stay locked down as long as Shanghai. We didn't do 5 months. We did a month and a half. But in that month and a half, so much happened, man. Like, it was crazy. Like, to the point where when we did get off lockdown, I'm telling you, people in my city, like, they were shooting fireworks. Like, people were lined up at the gates running out. Like, my friends and stuff, they all ran to the beach and everything. Like, it was crazy. It was so crazy. Even me, the first day, I was just kind of like, man, I don't know. It seemed like this is too early to be celebrating. And it kind of was because, like, I think a day or two later, they were talking about a case came into our city and that we may go on lockdown again. And everybody started scrambling for groceries and stuff like that. And it was like ugly. Every time people got to scramble for groceries, you can go to the grocery store, see people fighting over groceries. All the eggs are gone, all the ramen noodles are gone, everything is gone. Like, if you don't get there in time, so you don't want to be one of those doubters. Like, I know some people who every time something happens, they be like, I don't know if this is really going to happen. And then after that, when this stuff comes down, like, they don't have enough food. So you always want to make sure that you like stay vigilant, like as far as like the news. It could happen at any moment, any second, like that things could change. So you want to make sure that you stay on your toes with that. So, I mean, for me, sorry about that. But for me, I feel like that is the essentials to living in China post-COVID. Like, I feel like anybody that you meet or know that lives in China post-COVID, they've been through a lockdown where they've had to stay inside and they can't leave their apartment complex. They have had to watch their code, and their code gets checked frequently, their health code, and they've been required to get vaccines and things like that, you know. So those are the three things. And the way I feel about it is, honestly, like, maybe I'm just desensitized by it, but I don't think it's so bad. I mean, outside of the lockdowns are horrible. I'm not gonna lie. The lockdowns are horrible. Like, only reason I was able to survive the lockdowns is because of my personality. My personality is a very, like, introverted. Like, I like to stay in and just play video games and make beats and just mind my business and study and stuff. So I was kind of cool for most of it. But if you like to go out, if you like to get fresh air a lot, if you like to walk around, it's bad. Like, and I feel like most people in the city like to do those things. So yeah, people were suffering. My wife was going crazy. Like, my son felt like he was going crazy too. Like, we couldn't even walk around the complex. Like, at a certain point they wouldn't even let us walk around the complex. So I think that you gotta always be, mindful of when the lockdowns are gonna hit. Some people, they get out in time. Like, they catch the signs before and they fly to another place, especially if it's like in the middle of a holiday. You don't want to be locked down in a holiday. Like, I was locked down from August 2nd to September 15th or something. And that right there was torture. I'm not gonna lie. Like, I wanted to enjoy my summer. I wanted to go places, and I only had like 2 weeks of a summer, because my summer was supposed to be from July 15th to September 1st, maybe, like, and I only got July 15th to August 1st. After that, like, my summer was gone. My summer was completely gone. Like, and it's just like the energy, you feel, the energy with COVID is real different out here. I think before COVID, people still had like an inkling of positive energy towards foreigners, and it's like there was the trade war and stuff like that with between Trump and China and stuff like that, which made people a little uneasy, but things were still kind of cool. But like, after COVID, there was kind of like this thing where it's like, oh, COVID can only come from foreigners. Like, if there's a COVID case in the city, it's because someone came from abroad. It's not like something that spread from inside. They even have this kind of like narrative that COVID didn't start in China, which, I mean, it may or may not be true, but like, they kind of put it on foreigners, like, oh, it's you guys. So when they see us, especially when they see a black person like me, like, they're going to instantly pull up their mask. I've seen people cover their mouth with their hands when they see me, like, which doesn't even make sense. That's not going to protect you from COVID. You should have just came out with a mask, dummy. Like, but I mean, like, that's just how it is. That's really how it is. So I feel like, COVID really kind of took away that friendliness that was there for people from other countries, and things started to kind of become a little hostile with the general public. I mean, don't get me wrong, there's still like a lot of cool people. There's still a lot of people who really are nice as hell, like, that will treat you so well, and they're just interested in who you are. Like, for real, I really feel like there's a lot of good people out here. And honestly, like, if it wasn't that way, I wouldn't even be here right now. Like, I would have left a long time ago. of course, like, I'm here because my wife and my son, we still waiting for things to be processed before we can move to America or anywhere else. But like, I feel like there's a lot of good people out here and a lot of people who won't treat you like you're a disease. So I just wanted to make sure I mentioned that. But in the majority, like the news, the radio, especially like when it comes to like talking about Americans, it's crazy. Like you're gonna feel weird. Like sometimes you're gonna feel hated, but I mean, it's just not the truth. You're not like actually hated. Some people will treat you like that. Like I remember one time, me and my wife, we were walking to a breakfast spot. Like in Sanya, they have this thing called Lao Ba Cha. Lao Ba Cha is like old daddy's tea. That's what they call it. Like basically all the old retired men will get up on the weekends super early. You feel me? Their wives will cook for them, they'll eat, and then they'll go to this place and eat and drink tea and play poker and stuff like that. And they'll have like little breakfast snacks and just different things for breakfast over there. So it's a really dope thing to try out if you come to Sanya. Like you try out Lao Ba Cha. So there's some Lao Ba Cha spots. So we were looking for one. One was like in the alley. It was like in the cut. So we're walking down this alley. We're trying to find it because we're looking at the map. And we think it's past this certain gate or what. It's not even a gate. It's just like a speed bump with one of those little things that stop cars from going through. So we're walking and this guy comes out. He starts yelling. He's like, no. And we're just like, we're looking at him like, what? Why are you bugging? And then like he has another guy with him and I think a little girl with him, and apparently the dude was just so like mad because he was just like he didn't want to see any foreigners, especially like a black foreigner, just walking into their area. I guess that's the area apartment complex and stuff that they live, so they didn't want to take any risks of having any kind of COVID thing happen because they always associate COVID with foreigners. So it's not like if you're a Chinese person walking in, they're not going to do that to you, because even if you're a Chinese person who was abroad, they're not going to do that to you. But they did that to me because they felt like I was bringing something. So I was like, of course, I felt some type of way. I was like, damn, like you ain't even have to do all that. Like, you know, it's not even that serious. But I was just like, okay, you feel me? I'm gonna move myself. I'm gonna get out the way. So I got out the way. We went back and luckily we found a spot. It was just kind of like right next to that spot. There was like a little cut to the side and then you see like a parking lot and you see the people eating in there. So we went in there, we ate. I ain't let it ruin my meal, but I was still feeling some type of way like when it all happened. I was just like, yeah, nah, that's not cool. You feel me? But that's the energy that people may have sometimes, you know? But some other times people be chilling. And sometimes people just be funny. Like, it's like when people ask me if Chinese people are racist, like as far as the general public, I don't think they're so racist. It just comes across as like an ignorance towards the outside world, you know? They only know a limited amount of things because like a lot of stuff isn't taught in school. You feel me? A lot of stuff isn't put out there, you know? So they need to be like educated on certain things. But the thing about it is like, where are they gonna get that from? Only people who want to make friends with foreigners and like get to know people, like they find out things. But for people who don't want to be friends with foreigners, they're just gonna have to trust their local media or social media, and that's how it is. And Chinese social media, it's toxic as hell. Like, you wouldn't even believe how toxic it is. Like, at least towards, I mean, not even only towards foreigners, towards women, but that's a whole different subject. You know, it just was so toxic that like even my wife, like she had to just get off it because it made her feel depressed every day. Like, she could never post anything with me in it. I think she tried to post our son like once, and people were all in the comments typing in the most racist stuff. You need to send your son to my place so he can be my slave. You need to send your son to my place so he can pick cotton and watermelons. And they were literally saying that, but I mean, like I said, it's naturally toxic on there. Like, and I'm talking about Weibo specifically. If you ask me what social media, Weibo, and they have another one called iIns. It's like a Chinese Instagram. Yeah, that shit, toxic. You feel me? And my wife had to, like, you know, she had to skedaddle out of that. She had to get out of that. She was like, nah, I can't do it. She couldn't do it. So, you know, when it comes to that, and then like just spreading things around, it's bad. But I mean, like I said, not everything here is bad, but like post-COVID, things have gotten more grim. Like, the landscape is changing. Everybody is leaving. People leaving in droves, and like, it kind of makes us sad to see that, because it's just like, you know, there was a lot of character with just everybody working together, foreigners and Chinese people working together. But I feel like, you know, because of how the global climate is, like, as far as like political climate, I mean, I understand why like China's taking its stance, you know, because if you let other places kind of dictate the pace of your society, then you no longer be in control. And I feel like, as a black person and as a person of African descent, I can understand, like, you have to like have control over things before they get too out of hand. Now, do I agree with all the methods of stuff that they do out here? No. But I'm not gonna act like one evil is better than the other. Like, they're both just bad. You feel me? But yeah, I already talked about COVID rules. What else? Oh yeah, I could talk to you guys about living in China before COVID. Like, before COVID started, it's like a whole different place. I'm telling you, and I came in on the back end of things. Like, I came in like when things were starting to kind of dwindle down. If you talk to people who came to China like anywhere between like 2008 to 2016, they'll tell you that was the golden era. Like, everything was just on a different level. Everything was foreigner friendly. Things was just booming. Like, it was just like a whole different vibe. You know what I mean? And I think for me, I came here 2016, like late 2016. That was before things got really political. So when I first came, man, like, it was just like a whole different world. You know, it was really like, it's hard to explain. Like, it was transformative. Like, I feel like anybody who ever like came to live in China, they'll be like, it changed them. Because especially if you came here before 2019, or like before 2020, like, you got to actually experience what China was before like it really got crazy. Man, like, where do I start? I first came to China because I was going to get my master's degree. I got a full scholarship for that, studying transportation engineering and doing research mostly. They brought me over here for research, so I helped with a lot of publications. Like, I did just a lot of I just helped a lot with papers and researching data sets and stuff like that. And that's kind of why, like, now I'm getting more into data and like machine learning and things like that. But I had really just came here just off of like being tired of stuff back home, which I feel like most people who come here are. You know, like, Chinese people have this feeling like they only get the degenerates, you feel me? They only get the bad foreigners. But I feel like Nah, it's just that sometimes people just be tired, you know? And I feel like in America, like, I was kind of just tired of, like, the things going on, you know? I was tired of, like, all the things going on, like, as far as, like, working in a corporation, because I had just, like, graduated with my degree in civil engineering, and I was thinking that I was gonna start making some real good money, because I already had like 3 years worth of experience as far as like in civil engineering. Like, I was doing geotechnical engineering. I was, I was certified. I was nuclear gauge certified and hazmat certified and OSHA and all that. But when I started working, things didn't really go out my way. They were underpaying me by a lot. I was feeling stressed, and I didn't really have any support financially, or just, I had mental support with like my siblings and stuff, but I just was not feeling so well. So, let's see. So for me, I really felt like, all right, it was time for me that I have a change, So I was given an offer, like, I think 2 years before that, where I had a mentor. He was like, yo, do you want to go to China? You can help me do some research out there. I know you're bright. You helped me a lot when you're doing undergrad. Just really, check it out. Try it out. So I was just like, okay. After going through all that with that company that I was working for, I was like, okay, But in the beginning, I said no, and I waited for like a whole year. And then after working for that company, I was like, you know what? I'm tired of it. Let me just go. Let me just go and see what's going on over there. Worst comes to worst, I can fly back and just work at a different firm or something like that. And so that's what happened. Like, flew to Nanjing, was going to school over there, and the first day, like, I'm telling you, I came like so unprepared, like mentally unprepared. I was like physically prepared, and I had all my documents and stuff, but mentally, first of all, I didn't know any Chinese at all, like none at all. Like, even though I was studying from apps, like, I didn't know anything. I didn't know any characters, never had previous Chinese experience. And it was just like touching down. First, it was like a rude awakening. I thought I was going to be like in some place with a nice river and lake and temples and mountains, which actually there are, but it wasn't like close to where I was living. But when I got down there first, it was like the hottest day of the summer. I was pulling my luggage. One of the wheels broke. I was sick. They sent like one guy to come and help me, you feel me, try to help me with the luggage. Poor guy, he was scrawny as hell. He could barely pick up the stuff I had. I had everything I ever owned from America in those two suitcases. So we're dragging it. We get to the school, and they're handing out dorm keys because everybody's just arriving. Like, all the foreign students are just arriving. So give me a dorm key. They're like, all right, yeah, this is your dorm. We have to go up like 6 flights of steps, no elevator. Like, the building was stuck in like the 1970s, and they didn't do no maintenance on it. I'm telling you, that dorm building had like black, brown, and green streaks running down the building. Like, they don't maintain the building at all. And not only that, the water system in the building was horrible, because the higher you go up, the lower the pressure is. Like, so we go up to the 6th floor. I open the door. Man, a big gust of moldy smell just hits my face. I'm like, yo, oh my God. I'm feeling like I'm about to die off that. I'm like, please, God, no. You feel me? I get there, I got a roommate. He's from Congo, which is crazy because like my mom was from Congo. So like I lived in Congo for like a year when I was a kid. So like He's from Congo, but he's looking at me super weird. You feel me? Like the energy he's giving me, I'm just like, damn, like this dude's supposed to be my roommate, and he was on some weird shit. Like I'm not gonna lie, like it just made me feel uncomfortable. You feel me? So, so I get settled in, and I'm super sick because like for me, like in college, like my dorm, like especially my junior year, my dorm was like a hotel. It felt like a hotel. Like my junior year in America, like my dorm was legit. Like it felt like it needed to be a hotel. And I went from that to going to a, you know, it's just like a small ass room with mold in the walls, with wallpaper, all that, you know, like the bathroom, the toilet, and the shower are in the same area. Like, I mean, like literally, like if you're taking a shower, like the water is just gonna indiscriminately hit the toilet. Like, you feel me? I am so sick. I'm like, yo, oh my gosh, I gotta stay here. Like, but I was like, all right, I gotta make the most of it. So, I was just like, okay, I go downstairs, I meet some like German students that were there because they had like a program where if you're doing like medicine or public health or something like that, you could do like 3 months in China and then like go back to Germany and, you know, get some type of shit, finish your degree or something. So I was like, okay, I meet them, they're super cool. We go out to go get some food. We like some place really close. So we go into the restaurant. I'm looking at everything and I'm like, I do not understand nothing. And mind you, like at that point, I was not eating meat. Like I was a vegetarian. So I go in, I can't read anything. I try to open my Google Translate. Then I found out something that you need to find out before you even get to China is that Google does not work in China, and Facebook does not work in China, and Twitter does not work in China, and Instagram and all that, WhatsApp, all that. Well, WhatsApp used to work back then, it don't work no more, but all that just did not work. So I'm like, damn, I can't use Google Translate. So I had to take the L. I just had to start eating meat again. I know this sounds crazy. There's so many vegetarians who come here in China and don't get to that point, but I got to that point at a certain point. You feel me? I started having to eat meat again, you know? So I just, you know, ordered a dish, just eat meat, feel me? But it was just like, I didn't sweat it so much because it was just like, for me, I just felt like it was all part of the experience. So I was like, all right, cool. The experience is just something that, you know, I really had to like go head in, like dive head first. You feel me? Like, so, man, yeah, that I felt like I took a L on that one. I mean, eventually I got back to not eating meat anymore, but I feel like at that point the damage was already kind of done. You feel me? But when I first came to China, yeah, like that was the case. But it was cool because there was many foreigners, especially there's like a lot of African people. There was, I don't know if it's like that anymore because where I live, there's not that many foreigners in general. But there was just like a lot of African people, you feel me? And there was kind of like, I wouldn't say they was running the nightlife, but they had their foot in it, you feel me? They had their spots that was playing like legit music. You feel me? They had like legit stuff going on, and the MCs would be like dudes from like Sierra Leone, dudes from Ghana, dudes from Nigeria, dudes from Congo. Like it was just like they had their stuff going on. So I was like, all right, bet. You know, I met some other Americans, met some people from like other countries that like could just speak English pretty well, and started hanging out with them, going to different spots, like turning up, feel me? Like the end of 2016 was just like, it was like a dream. Cause even though like my living situation was crazy, like it was just like taking everything in, like seeing how cheap certain things were, like seeing how everything just like moved around, it was really like, it was beautiful, you know, like it was really beautiful. But you know, those things can't last forever. But throughout the years, you know, things like just slowly but surely, progressively got more and more strict. They started shutting down more spots. Like all the spots that we were hitting up were started getting shut down. You know, they weren't allowing foreigners to do certain things like check into certain hotels and all that. And then the trade war made it even worse because Americans were just like, you know, like, yeah, you was getting looked at a certain way. And then when COVID hit, it was just like, that was the straw that broke the camel's back. But I'm gonna get into all that. I know, like, there's a lot of, I've been here for 6 years. There's a lot of content that I can talk about, you know. And China before COVID is one of those things, like, yeah, I could talk about that forever and ever and ever, because there's so many stories, so many like hidden gems, like that, like even like on a day-to-day I get reminded, I'm like, oh yeah, we used to have this, or we used to do that, or even now we got this or we got that, like, you know, that make it kind of like, it makes everything understandable. But you know, I'll say that for later. I don't want to be rapping for hours and hours and then like y'all lose interest in this video. So I'll try to keep these videos kind of short, maybe like 30 something minutes or something, you feel me? And we'll just, you know, keep it rocking. I think like every Thursday I'll do it. It'll be Thursday morning in the West, like America, like DC area, but it'll be Thursday night in Asia, if anyone's watching from Asia, like. And I'll just pretty much be discussing 3 types of things. One, of course, being black in China, because when I first came to China, that was the first thing I searched up before I even hopped on the plane. Like, how is it being black in China? And it was like a YouTube channel called Black in China, and it really helped. You feel me? Like, it really helped. Second thing I'm gonna talk about, of course, is music. Making music out here, collabing with people, performing live, doing things that I didn't do back home, because back home I feel like things are more exclusive, whereas here, like, things are more open, like, you know. So, and it gave me the experience I felt like I needed for making music and performing live, and gave me like the chance to really develop some skills that even if I went back to America, I could use those skills and like really throw it out there, like, hey, I got this skill that you won't meet people who have this skill, like doing live push sets and stuff like that, you know. And then third is my just experiences, like, you know, being a dad, having a biracial child, being married to a Chinese person, my lock journey, you know. Like, this is my second time going locks. I've had it for 7 years, and it'd be longer than this, but I'll be cutting the bottoms, because if they like end up all wispy or stuff like that, like, then like I gotta like maintain it, you know. It's my own way of maintaining it. I don't really do too much maintenance, but I maintain it its own way. The only thing I don't like about this camera is, like, I got a 4K camera, I got the light, so it makes it seem like there's all this stuff going on with my dreads, but really it's just a light. My dreads ain't dirty. I'll be washing my dreads a lot, and I'll be doing apple cider vinegar rinses. I just wanted to put that out there, because I was like, damn, I was looking at this shit, I'm like, why it look like that? You feel me? I'm like, why it look like that? Why this look like that? It's whatever. Yeah, just talking about my experiences. I will be also doing like gaming on Saturdays. You might want to check my schedule. I gotta check my own schedule. I might be doing gaming on Saturdays, and I might also be doing just like live cookups on Sunday. So I think Saturdays, yeah. Saturdays I'll be doing gaming. Friday nights or Friday mornings, I think Friday night. I'm sorry, my bad. Friday nights I'll be doing like some live sets, and then Sunday I'll be doing like music production. So definitely tune in. I got a lot of content that I want to give you guys, especially since my wife and son are in Nanjing right now and they're there for another month. So I got the chance to actually use the microphone without all that noise in the background and my son trying to hit on the keys whenever I'm doing live sets. So that'll be cool. You just, if you're watching this, follow, maybe subscribe. Follow me on different platforms. I think my social media links are on my page. So YouTube, Twitter, Instagram, all that. Follow me and I'll give you more content. So alright, y'all, I'm about to skedaddle, and I thank you for pulling up on me and checking this out. Alright, so it's about time for me to go. So thank you for watching. Peace.